Thanks, Tom. It's Metro Morning. It's Thursday. I'm Matt Galloway. Good morning. An extraordinary night at Queen's Park and in politics in this province. It began in the early evening when reporters were summoned back to Queen's Park for a mysterious but urgent media conference. It ended early this morning with the resignation of Patrick Brown as the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party, facing allegations of sexual misconduct. We will speak in just a moment with Mike Crawley, our Queen's Park reporter. What is this story about? How did it unfold? And what happens now for the Progressive Conservatives, a party that was looking to topple the Liberals? That is coming up next on Metro Morning. And Patrick Brown delivered a brief statement yesterday about these allegations. Allegations were made in a report by CTV News. Was then chased through the hallways of Queen's Park and said, "I'll be at work tomorrow." That remains to be seen. Early this morning, Patrick Brown resigned as leader of Ontario's Progressive Conservative Party, coming after these allegations of sexual misconduct made against him by two women. The alleged incidents happened over the past 10 years when Patrick Brown was an MP. What is this story and what happens now? Mike Crawley, up all night covering this. He is our provincial affairs reporter with CBC News, and he's with me in studio. Good morning.
Hi, Matt.
Where does this start?
So I got a phone call. I'm sitting on my couch at home, and Patrick Brown's press secretary called me, and he didn't sound very good. And he said, "You've got to come to Queen's Park, 9:45, news conference. You want to have a camera, you're going to want to be there." And, when we arrived, and all the cameras were set up, Patrick Brown walks in and he's completely alone. There's no staff behind him. There's no other MPPs. And so it's this, in some ways, really forlorn image of this one guy standing there talking to the cameras. And then he spoke for precisely 1 minute and 20 seconds, didn't take any questions, and he, denied these allegations against him. So in summary, the allegations, this is what's being reported by CTV, that these incidents happened while he was a member of Parliament, that it was effectively that he made unwanted sexual advances against two women. One of them was actually a high school student at the time, and the other one was a member of his staff. So we haven't been able to confirm these allegations independently, but the damage is done, really. Patrick Brown has resigned.
His statement, I said earlier on that he was shaken, visibly shaken as he was delivering it. You're there in the room.
Yeah.
What is this like?
So he was trembling. His voice was quivering. He was, very emotional. He looked somewhat disheveled. Very clearly upset. I spoke to one of his closest friends afterwards and said that he was indeed, extremely upset.
And he denied everything.
But says that the allegations are completely false. Okay, so he denied that. He didn't say anything during the statement about his fate as leader, but immediately when he refused to resign, his staff started fleeing. By the time the news conference was over, if you could call it a news conference, so something that lasted 1 minute and 20 seconds, his top campaign staff were all gone. His campaign manager, the strategic director of the campaign, his chief of staff, they had all said that they had urged him to resign when they learned of the allegations. He did not accept their advice, so they quit. And then a few hours later, it seems like the pressure got put up on Brown by his MPPs.
So what happened in that moment between Patrick Brown, as I say, being chased through the halls of Queen's Park saying, "I'll be at work tomorrow," and a statement coming out at 1:30 in the morning saying, I'm resigning?
So the Progressive Conservative MPPs were all talking to one another. They were they ended up having a big conference call. They were almost silent in terms of the media during this period of time. No tweets, nothing. And then we started to hear a little after midnight talk about this conference call having happened, and the statement that came out after the conference call said that the MPPs were unanimous in wanting Brown to resign. So it seemed that they just basically put up a wall against him and said, "You must go."
He was in an untenable position. Given the context that we're in right now, Me Too, Time's Up, when allegations like this come out, was there any way that he could continue on?
I see absolutely no way he could have continued on. I mean, he can fight these allegations, and he
hasn't resigned as an MPP.
He's not resigned as an MPP. He says he's going to fight them. So he could. The only way there's any possibility of this thing being salvaged would be if these two women came forward publicly and said, we recant exactly what we said. And I don't see that happening. Patrick Brown's political career is over.
It's less than 5 months until the election. What happens now for the Progressive Conservative Party?
So they've got to pick a leader. They've got to figure out how they're going to campaign. I've got their platform here, which has Patrick Brown's face all over it.
I mean, essentially, it's
right
the magazine about him in the party.
Yeah, so they now have to pick a new leader. It's not even clear how they're going to do that. Can they just they can? Their constitution says they can pick an interim leader. Just the MPPs get together and they can decide who's going to be leader. Who knows? Look, politics is weird, and putting a new face at the head of this party could be the thing that actually helps them, because as well as the PCs have been doing in the polls, Patrick Brown has not resonated with people. There has not been a big groundswell of, gee, I really like Patrick Brown out there. And so who knows what could happen if there's if the PCs find someone to lead them through who gives a completely different message but with the same policies, that it becomes somebody who becomes really popular.
Is there time to I mean, one of the slights against Patrick Brown, and this is just from polling, is that people didn't know who he was. Is there time to introduce somebody new, given the fact that the election is less than 5 months away?
Yeah, well, you know what? Everybody in Ontario knows who Patrick Brown is now.
Sure do.
And there isn't time for the PCs to be distracted by some sort of long, drawn-out process of trying to pick a new leader and figure out who it's going to be. They need to get somebody out there, get that person known, and run the campaign. And the election campaign spotlight, when it gets on that leader, that leader will get known. That's not going to be a problem.
But in the meantime, the clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking, and they now have a big credibility problem in the sense that they picked this guy to be their leader, who has now been ousted in the wake of admittedly unproven sexual harassment allegations.
Ever seen anything quite like this before?
It was a shocking last few hours, Matt. I'm still struggling to believe that it's reality.
Mike, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike Crawley, provincial affairs reporter for CBC News.